It has been such a long time since I've vlogged. I was off the vlogging challenge that I set for myself for a while. Well, I got a little bit sick. I got a little infection, so you can still hear my voice is coarse. And I also took some time to rethink and reconsider and reassess how do I best share the knowledge, information, and its wisdom that I've acquired, I've accumulated. And the moment I stopped vlogging, I started accumulating weight because there is a lot of wisdom. And there are three things, there's three good deeds or good karma that you can do. And the first one is when you share food and money, when you share all the goods that you have with those who need them. That's one act of good karma. The other one is when you help somebody in time of need, when you protect them, when they're experiencing some sort of a danger or prosecution, and you protect them, and there is a lot of that going on in this world at all times, including now. And the last one, and sometimes they say you get the best karma or the worst karma from it, is when you have wisdom, when you have knowledge, and you don't share it. So I don't want bad karma. So I was thinking, what is the best way I can start putting things in the most palatable, digestible context. And I was also thinking very broadly, who are the people who are listening, who are the people who will be the receiving end of it, who are receiving audience of it. And the past couple of years, I've been doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of self-advancement, self-improvement, self-betterment. So it's the work of the ego when you when you improve and try to become better at something, focusing on result. I mean, when you become richer, more successful, success. And the other one is the work of the soul. And that's spiritual development. And it's oftentimes they overlap. So over the past years, I've been doing a lot of that. Self-improvement, self-betterment, and towards, it's all in the journey of soul transformation, soul restoration. And I'll explain in some of the vlogs what it means. But the audience, the people who are listening to me, have been doing a lot of that work as well, either meditating or using all sorts of tools, trainings, book. They've been practicing and reading and going deeper and deeper and deeper because they're not finding the answers. And the reason, like myself, not finding the improvement, or the improvement is marginal. The suffering that you experience whether you're meditating or sitting in the meeting, presenting, or just doing nothing, just going along with your life. You experience it regardless. It just doesn't go away. What's the missing part is why you're doing what you're doing, how is it helping you, and what is the wisdom behind all of the new age, not so new age, and scientific, and all sorts of discoveries that are overwhelming the planet right now. And that's the wisdom, why and how the world is created. So I started thinking about it, thinking that the people who are listening are probably pretty ready to start hearing more. They've heard a lot of the things that I've been talking about. The majority probably did. And it's time to start talking a little bit more, a little bit deeper. And that's what I intend to do. And I intend to put a lot of different courses. And I'm not saying that the wisdom that I'm looking to share, it's the the latest and the greatest wisdom, but give it a chance. It's not linear. It's not step by step. It just doesn't work that way in the world. It's not what you did this second is what you're going to get results from. It's multidimensional. It's much more complex. You can't isolate. You can't just eat something good and do something bad, or think something bad, or feel something bad, and only on the basis of eating something or exercising or doing something ignore all the rest that is happening in your consciousness and expect a result to be different. It just doesn't work like that. So I'm going to start with the first lesson of some sort, so I'm going to start with one simple question, and this question and this small exercise that I want to go through is the intent of it is to show you, help you understand how your reality is created, because your reality is very different than my reality. That duck behind me, or I think it's a swan, or nothing. I thought it was a swan. It's not a swan. It's just the buoy. But there is a stork there. There's some birds there. No people, which is a good thing sometimes, or bad thing. But it's a very still landscape behind me. And I want to ask you a couple of questions. And the intent here is to probe you to understand how the reality is created. So I'm going to ask you questions, and although we are in this mode when I'm talking and you just listening, we're still communicating. So I want to ask you questions, and please answer them. I'll pause. It's important. So I'm going to show you an object, a simple object, and I want you to answer what it is. What is this that I'm holding in my hands? And take your time, and you can even type the answer in the vlog. And my guess is you probably answered it's a pen. And usually in this bay, there are a lot of animals and dogs, and it's a beautiful sight. But imagine a puppy comes by. Or I have a cat, her name is Luska. And if I were to show this to her, or to the dog that is coming right from behind me, imaginary dog, what do you think the dog would think this is? What do you think the dog's answer would be to this? You're right. It's a chew toy. The dog would think it's an object that they can chew on, that it can chew on. It's a chew toy. It's a stick of some sort. And you know, you and me were such advanced beings, and maybe there is another person who is in the future and does amazing, incredible things. Maybe you can transport yourself across space and time on this. They would think a completely different thing that this pen is. It could be a camera. It could be a weapon. It could be whatever that is. And then, but let's stay on you and the dog. We can bring an army of PhDs to explain to the dog that this is a pen, and you can do amazing things with it. You can write novels. Do you think it would help the dog to see a pen anything other than a chew toy? And I think the answer is no. So who is right? Is it you or a dog? Is it a pen or is it a chew toy? And you're right, the answer is both. So if everybody leaves this place, this room, and I put the pan on the dock right here, the dock was taken away. But if we put the pan on the dock and there's no me here, there's no dog here, what is this pan then? It's nothing. It's empty. It's an empty object. So then I will ask you another question. So where does the pan come from? Is it the pan coming into my consciousness, into my mind, that makes it a pan or a chew toy? Or is it coming out of my mind? Is it coming from the pan or from me, from the dog? Where's it coming from? And you probably answered correctly. It comes from you. It comes from me. It comes from the observer. It comes from whoever is looking at the object. And if you think of everything in your life, it's like an empty screen. And the projection comes from your mind. And this is how we project reality. And you would think, how did the pan get into your mind in the first place? And that's a very valid question. And the simplest way to answer that, then there's going to be other exercises that we'll go through to explain it more in depth. But more simplistically is, think of your consciousness as the video camera. And it takes pictures every second. 64 shots are fired. And it takes a picture of everything that's happening around me right now. And these are like mental images. It takes the picture of what I'm saying right now. It takes the picture of the environment. It photographs all of that. And they're like seeds that are planted in my subconscious. And when the time is right, when the conditions are ripe for it, these seeds open up. They open up as the reality. And that's how we create objects and how everybody's reality is different. So if I yelled at my children the other day because they didn't clean the room, or they didn't do homework on time, or they don't want to practice piano, it gets recorded. Everything gets recorded every second. Every action, feeling, or thought gets recorded. And when, let's say my husband comes home 4 days later, the seeds open up, the yelling seeds open up, and all of a sudden he walks in, he starts yelling at me for something. That reality is my own creation, and this is how we create the life that we live. And we either repeat, and this is how we create the reality that we live in. So the yelling husband comes from me, or the kids who don't behave, or the yelling husband, or the lazy husband, or no husband, or yelling boss. Everything has a cause and effect. And it comes from you. It comes from the seeds that we plant in our consciousness 24/7. And we also come with the consciousness, and that's what it's called, the soul. We come with that. And there's a lot of seeds that they are good and bad, or depending on how you look at it. Everything is empty on itself, but it's your deeds, it's your thoughts, it's your actions, and whether you want to believe it or not, but this is how you create the reality. And the suffering, the root cause of suffering, our suffering, is because we don't understand it. We think of things in a linear fashion. We think that I do this, this, and that, and nothing is happening. But we're not taking a very comprehensive look and perspective on life. That includes all the seeds, all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the feelings. And it's very hard